every second. Yeah.
Right. Hello, everyone.
It's time to explain everything. Welcome to Explain Everything on our webinar on how to create explainer videos for your classroom.
All right. I'm Jakub. This is Bart. We're going to go through the really short scenario on how to create a video and explain everything. And it's going to go through very simple steps and basics of how you record and explain everything. Then we'll show you how you can choose your own way of creating explainer videos. And then we'll go through more advanced scenarios and tips and tricks that you can include in your video creation in Explain Everything.
But most importantly, we're here for you to answer all of your questions. Since we're broadcasting that from headquarters of Explain Everything, we need to answer all of them. So make sure to ask them on the chat. Kuba will be going through those questions. We'll try to answer them as they come. But first, let's try to see how this workshop, this webinar is positioned against others that we are offering. So let us show you 3 use cases of how Explain Everything can be used in the classroom. So here you are. So there are basically 3 ways you can use such powerful whiteboard in the classroom. You can use it to present visually to the class. This is something that we covered last year. We had a fantastic webinar on visual presentations. It's going to repeat at some point of time. We're going to broadcast this again, provide it again live. This is a live session that we have here. So we encourage you, if you're interested in how to replace a whiteboard or chalkboard and broadcast wirelessly while walking to the class, around the class, and provide dynamic presentations, make sure to take a look at this material. Today, we're going to cover a scenario where teacher wants to create video lesson, let's say to prime students before the lesson, or summarize the teachings, or even capture the entire lesson as he or she progresses through material in a form of a video. This is something we're going to cover today, but next week, we do have a webinar on feedback and assessment, right?
Yeah, and feedback and assessment is the part where you incorporate Explain Everything into your teaching so that both you and your students are able to interact in the form of a feedback chain. And then and this scenario will go through how you can create assignments and activities in Explain Everything, deliver them to your students, and then go through them with them and allow them and yourself to see how something was made, not that just something was made, essentially.
So this scenario kind of combines all the elements that we're showing during the webinar. So I'm very excited about this scenario, and it's something we're covering next week. But today, let's focus on explainer videos, shall we? And for that, let us make sure that you know how to get the software first. Explain Everything works best on mobile devices. So here on this slide, we're showing you options how to get your access to Explain Everything using Apple device or Google device. And with Apple device, there are basically 2 options. You can either purchase educational version of Explain Everything in the store, or go with a subscription version of Explain Everything. It's easy to get it working because there's a trial that does not require you to start an account. You can just, with one tap, access the whiteboard and basically follow us as we go during this webinar. And after purchase, you have premium. That means no limits whatsoever. With Google version, when you find Explain Everything whiteboard, you start with the freemium. So that's okay if you want to follow us using the freemium version of Explain Everything. But you have some limits. You can create 3 projects, have recordings on a single slide, and up to 1 minute of recording will be exported. I'm not sure we're going to create longer videos today, so that's fine if you want to start and follow our steps as we go. Of course, it's possible to use Explainer Everything on the computer, but today we assume that you're going to teach unfettered in the classroom. You want to also capture those lessons in the form of a video using tablets. That's why we're focusing on tablets today.
All right. We seem to have some audio issues. Is everything working fine? Because we just got information from one of the attendees that it's hard to hear. Is everything working fine, or do you hear any taps, clicks, or is it laggy? Let us know in the chat. I'll quickly grab my headphones and see if everything's all right. Okay.
Okay, and in the meantime, I can make sure that we progress through the webinar. We can also check our inputs here. Just 1 second. It should work fine and everything looks good on our end. So I hope this is not a major issue for all the participants. So when Kuba will check the audio options, I'll go through, no problem. 2 options you have to record your explainer video. And these are 2 options that we're going to cover today. So option number 1 is that if you want to create a video offline in the comfort, let's say, of your room without any audience, you can basically speak to your visuals or put in visuals and then narrate those later, providing some motion. This is something we're going to show you today. There's also option number 2. If you want to use Explain Everything to teach in the classroom and record the entire process of doing so, you can do this live by capturing everything at the same time. And of course, also, it's something we'll show you how to do today.
So yeah, the audio seems fine. If you don't hear it well, make sure that the setting in Zoom is cranked up a little bit more. And that was tip from Karen. Thank you very much for that. And so just make sure that the audio in Zoom is a little bit higher than usual.
Also, we're going to share this the recording of this webinar later on with you. So if there's something, if there will be problems with connections, you can always revert back to it and watch it later.
Yeah, so this whole thing is being recorded, and we'll share the video with everyone who signed up for this webinar tomorrow. Or you'll have a YouTube link with the webinar video with timestamps and everything recorded. So don't worry about missing out on anything. So you'll be able to rewatch it and revisit it and share if you want.
Fantastic. So why don't we look into option number 1, how to create explainer video offline, slowly progressing through the material how you want it. So these are the steps that we'd like to show you how to do. So we'd like to create initially a recording using the existing content. And we'll choose for that few slides that we have in form of a file. That is PDF, but you can, of course, use different file types like PowerPoint presentations. You can use drawings, whatever asset is on your device. And we will show you how to add voice and add simple animations to make the content more dynamic. Why don't we start with that? So I'll leave this project and I will start a new one. So that's basically the screen that you start with in Explain Everything. I have a lot of projects. That's the only difference, that visible difference that might be. So at first, create a new project here. And I'm sure you see my tabs. This circle here that moves is actually the place where I'm tapping or using my pencil. So I'll name this project Recording 1. As the results of what we're going to demonstrate here will be shared with you in the form of a link. So you could see the process from the recipient's end, right? Your students will be able to watch the recording that you will produce the same way as you will be able to watch the recording we will do now. So first thing first, let's add a file. And you have some options in order to bring to the canvas contents that you like to use in your recording. As I mentioned, I'm going to use PDF. So for that, I'll bring it from Dropbox. My account is already linked. So I'll look for evolution of the medium. Yeah, that's the file I need. It's just here. So when you tap File, you see the progress bar showing the process of loading. And once it's loaded, you can import it to the canvas with a button that you see in the top right corner. So I press Import. What do we see here, Kuba?
Well, just 4 pages of your PDF. So these pages here, you can, as you can see, all pages are selected. That means if we tap Insert on the bottom, all these pages will be inserted into your project. So we want to have them as separate slides. So that's the option Bart selected here in the layout option as on the bottom, separate slides, which means that every page will have its own slide. You can add them also on a single slide if you want to, but we'll go with the separate slides. And as soon as Bart taps the Insert button, new slides will be added, and each page will land on a separate slide, as you can see now.
Just like that. So when I open the slide sorter, which is in the lower right corner, you see those 4 slides, and I can jump between them. So one thing to notice is that Explain Everything has this unrestricted giant canvas where your content can be put in. For now, to make it simple and make it similar to other software you perhaps used in the past, we're using the slide divisions. But in reality, when we present and record our videos, we often use just a single slide, using this space that we have on this enormous canvas. It's useful in many ways, but for now, let's just keep it simple and slide-based. Okay. So why don't we now, having those 4 slides, record something on it? So I'll press record, which you see on the low, just here, I'll just show you with a pointer. I'll just create a pointer for that. So I'm using object in order to create an arrow to show you the pointer, to show you the record button. It's just here. All we need to do is to press record, and then Explain Everything will start to capture everything. But for now, let's just limit to the narration. I'll just say a few words. This is a presentation about the evolution of the medium used to exchange knowledge. And I press stop. What happened? 6 seconds of my narration were captured, and you can see them on the timeline that just opened on the lower bottom of the screen. So I can open and close this timeline. We call it timeline, which allows you to scroll back and forth. And now we just see the audio track that I created. I can play it back. Yeah. So that's the recording I just did. Simple recording, just audio on the first slide. When I open the slide sorter, you'll notice that underneath the first slide, you have this marker showing that recording has been done with 6 seconds. That's the length of the recording. And we can basically go through them from slide to slide, repeating these steps in order to arrive at the recording on each of those slides. But why don't we do something more interesting on slide number 2? And I'll try to make this slide more dynamic, because we're going to provide information about those different types, different mediums used to exchange knowledge while we're in the age of digital devices. So I would love this tablet here to move at least. So this slide is not so static as it is here. So what I'll do is I'll replicate the tablet that is within this slide so I can move it as a separate object. I just did that, but I'll do it slowly so you can see how you can bring your static content to life this way. So for that, I'm going to use this tool here. We call it cutout tool, but in reality, this is a tool to replicate content. So when I use this tool, I'm able to select part of the screen that will be replicated, copied as a separate object. So with two fingers, as you see, I can resize the selection. With two fingers, I'm going to grab just this device here. And when I release my buttons, I have another object, a new object. So when I position this object above the device that was just here, it looks like ordinary slide, yet I can grab it with my fingers while recording to capture this is a silly little animation of mine.
Right, and just make sure that you have the hand tool selected, because the hand tool is the tool which you use to move things around, scale them, rotate, and so on and so forth. So Bart's doing all the movements with the hand tool selected.
So that's the hand tool for you. So I'm going to activate the hand tool so I can move this digital tablet of mine. And I'll press the record here. The method changed over time, but luckily we arrived at digital devices that allow us for much more that was previously possible. And I press stop. Now you see that this recording that I just created, 11 seconds long recording, contains now two things. The words that I just said, and this movement with the hand tool that you mentioned about. That movement is starting at second. Everything I did on the screen when recording. Let's see that happening.
I don't think I can hear your audio. So, yeah. So the audio is there. It just doesn't play in Zoom. Sorry about that.
I believe it should. Well, you can tell that there's audio because of the audio track. Yeah, there's some reason it's not broadcasting through Zoom, but let's not. We'll send you the recording in a second, so you'll see that the audio is there as well. So most important for now is to realize that we just captured two things at the same time, and we can progress through our slides, repeating this trick again and again. Now we have two slides with recording and two slides without recording. So thing to notice here is that Explain Everything recording is slide based. You can slowly progress through the slides and create additional recordings. If you want to redo your recordings, you can do that. I'll show you that in a second on slide number 3. So let's say I'll do a mistake. I'll mention while recording, and paper was invented in Europe. Oh, I made a mistake. It was China horse. What do I do now? Well, you can go back in time using timeline here, or just scroll back to the very beginning of the recording and change the mode of recording to override, let's say, in order to record again. There's one more way you can redo the slide. You can delete the audio track from the timeline. For that, all you need to do is to press and hold the audio track and then select delete. And then I can record again. This time I'm going to also provide a little annotation. The paper was very reliable, and it was made in China. Made in China. That's a silly illustration, but then again, it's only for demonstration. I'll now provide a little annotation on this slide, so you see what will appear on the video. I just stopped on the second number 4, and on the second number 4, I'm going to add made in China. It's important to realize that Explain Everything will not show this before actually the moment when I provided this annotation here. So when you add content, make sure you add it in the right position of time. If the slide does not have a recording, everything you will add to the slide, like this one, this is slide number 4 without any recording. Anything you'll put in will be visible in the recording. But when you actually do have a recording, like this one, this slide has a few seconds of recording already. If you want to add new elements, and you want them to be visible on the recording, add them at the very beginning of the recording, as I did. Otherwise, you'll see them appearing in the moment when you added them. So this made in China, I added after 4th second, and that's why it's showing here. So last slide. I think this slide would work best if we add new element to it, like an icon of explain everything, right? It's not only about digital devices. This is just hardware. We're speaking about software that allows you to do things like exchange knowledge, right? So I'll provide my words first. Luckily, we arrived at digital devices that can be supplied with such a great software as explain everything. And as you probably guess, I should, when I'm speaking about explain everything, I should show the icon of explain everything here. So I was mentioning explain everything in roughly 5th second. So I'll add an icon from my clipboard, and I want it to appear on this tablet here. Now in the timeline, because I added new element, you see new symbol. This time is a plus icon. That's a result of this add media button that I used to add this icon. So again, as with this made in China that I provided on the previous slide, this icon appears in the moment of time when I added it to the recording. All right. I guess my recording is ready. It's nice and simple, few seconds for each slide. All we need to do is to provide you now with the links so you can watch it as kind of like a very short tutorial about the evolution of the medium, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to export this using export button here in the top right corner. And I will provide it as a web video link. That's the first option. Why this option is preferred for recording videos, Kuban?
Well, it's mostly because, you see, we're going to show the difference in a second, but as you can see now, the progress bar shows the explain everything sending the project onto explain drive, which is cloud platform that is used in explain everything whiteboard, which takes your projects and turns it into a video so that your device doesn't have to. Because if you were doing that everything offline, like locally on your iPad or on your other device, it would have to be rendered on the device. So it would take a little bit more time for it to produce the video. So what we're doing instead, we're sending the project to Explain Drive, and our servers and our core system does it for you, so that A, it doesn't block your device. B, it's much faster because those converters are much more powerful. And B, you can, and C, sorry, and you can immediately share it via link. So all Bart has to do now is just stop share and then post it somewhere.
I'll actually try to show it in my browser here. So I'll open it in my browser. That's the link for you. So the drive will open up. And as you'll see, here's my video. It's going to be rendered in a second. So the cloud is for heavy lifting. You know, we don't want to block your device for rendering like long lectures. Instead, you can allow our infrastructure to do it for you. Yet, if you'd like to render on your device, that's still possible. I'll share the link with you in a second. You can use the second option, export, here. When you do that, you'll be able to render video on your device. So you can then select save video, let's say here, just to locally render the video. And now iPad is rendering all the slides. And I guess it's also interesting why rendering happens in the first place, right? We just recorded a movie.
Yeah, but it's not a movie. Yeah, it's not a movie. The thing is that what we do in Explain Everything, we record all that's what's happening. It's not recording your screen. It's recording the movement, the strokes, adding voice. So it's not rendered. That's why it's so fast. Because if you were if you wanted to render a video on a, you probably had some experience already with that on like a video editing software. You know that you have to wait for a preview render for you to see how something looks, and you have to export it and wait on for some time until it it exports, it saves, right, the video in there. So Explain Everything doesn't do that. It just creates this whole timeline of actions, and they are immediately visible. So that's why it's so easy to create videos and Explain Everything, because you can immediately see what's going to happen.
And it's also something you can repurpose later. So we think of this as live video. It's a sequence of actions that Explain Everything captured and plays back or renders as a movie in the cloud or on the device. But the sequence of action, if you think about it, if it's stored in the project, it's fully editable. You can repurpose what you have as, let's say, recorded lecture for the next semester, improve it, re-record audio track without changing everything, and then release a new video, just like that. So that's what's possible with this live video type of recording that we have.
Right. So I think it's a great point to segue into the two scenarios that you can incorporate, because now what we want to show is we want to show you how you can do it two ways. Because right now Bart added media, right? Added his PDF. So that was the base of his presentation. And then he recorded audio, and then he added some stuff. But you can do it in many different ways. So he was doing that like all live. But what we'll do now is we'll go through the other way around. So if, say, we have a very robust animation in mind that we want to create first, so we don't do that both things at the same time. So we can, with Explain Everything, you can create a animation or a like live presentation with things moving around, and audio later, which is pretty useful.
All right, so let's try to do that. So I'll start a new project. Okay, that's going to be recording 2. By the way, before we do that, why don't we share the link to the recording that we just created with others, right? So I'll find it in my drive.
So we're slowly getting questions. So we're going to answer all of your questions in the Q&A section of this webinar. If you have any questions, feel free to use chat of Zoom or Q&A panel where you can pose those questions. We'll answer them for sure.
Okay, so if you could take the link that I share and share with others. So that's our recording that we're going to post in the chat, so you can watch the results of what we recorded with Explain Everything, while we'll be demonstrating more options of how you can record with Explaining Everything. So you had in mind more elaborate animation before you add audio, right?
Yeah, so say we want to have this prepared content. Like, I think that the best one is a video. Right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Where you, or maybe we shouldn't. We'll go to the video later on, maybe, because it's a pretty advanced thing to talk about. So yeah, what you can do is you can just in order for record in 2 steps, because that's what we're essentially doing. You just hit record and then do stuff on the canvas, right? Whatever you wanna create there, all movements. and animations, you can insert them. But first, like Bart just did, you just mute the microphone first so that your audio isn't recorded on the timeline. So here's the mute microphone button. Before you add animations, just make sure that the audio is muted so that there's no taps and there's no, because Bart's using Apple Pencil right now, and if he was recording audio and animations at the same time, you would hear his taps, the taps of the Apple Pencil on the surface of the iPad, right? So we're just making sure that nothing is gonna be recorded besides the animations that we want to do. So
okay, so I just did that, and I'll try to quickly draw this first slide for our presentation on evolution of the medium used to exchange knowledge. So hit record now. I'll do a piece of paper here, right? Just like that. And also we need a tablet here. But maybe before I do tablet, I'll hit this button. So can we explain what I just did with this object? So when you record, when you create, when you draw, as I did now, everything that is provided as a set of strokes ends up as an object. And since I want to have two objects, we can divide those objects by using this tick button here. So I want to have two separate objects, a piece of paper and let's say a tablet device, right? Instead of just one object that would contain all of those drawings. So that's why I use this tick button, because with the hand tool, I can grab those two objects now independently. Oh, by the way, I'm still recording. So you see everything I did was captured by Explain Everything. So without audio, because we muted the microphone, but if you look through this, yeah, I was playing around with two objects, right? I was drawing a tablet here. And before, I was doing this paper thing, right? Quite a lot of things that I did. Yet I only need a few seconds. So maybe why I don't, maybe let's just try to, yeah. Should we shorten the recording at this point of time?
yeah,
why not?
We want to make it more dynamic, right? We want to make sure that these are all happening pretty fast, and so there's no dead space in there. And
so why not remove this section of recording after drawing paper and before drawing tablet? So I'll select this with the selector tool, as you see here. So after tapping on selector tool, I can scroll through the timeline and I basically select everything that is in between. So I'll go to the moment where I'm starting to draw a tablet. Okay, that's the selection of this empty space plus some movement with the hand tool. I'll use, how do we call it? This is
delete and compact.
Delete and compact here. So I did that, and as you see, right after, what's on recording now is that right after finishing paper, I started to draw tablet. In reality, it took much longer. There was a delay, but there's no delay anymore. So by the same logic, I'll try to remove this empty space in the front. It's just 2 seconds, but I also compact it. And perhaps, yeah, that's 15 seconds of the recording. I can also remove all the movements that I did there. And I will end up with 15 seconds of recording of the movements. Does that well demonstrates?
Oh yeah. Yeah. So now what we're gonna do, since we already have an animation, I think we can play it so that we see what's the effect, right? So that's the animation. There's no audio. A couple of drawings, right? Very simple. There we go. Made it snappier and faster. Mm-hmm. So now we want to narrate over that so that we are creating a visual and then adding audio. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna rewind to the beginning, unmute the microphone, and then hit record again.
This is a presentation about the evolution of the medium used to exchange knowledge. So basically, we could make it longer, but this is just for to show you how it works. So you see, now we have an audio track that goes with this animation that we provided before.
So that's how you do it in 2 steps. As you can see, Bart created an animation first and then added audio, which resulted in this sort of like a little bit of a disconnect, right, between the length of what he was talking about and the animation. So we can do something that's, well, we can turn it around. And instead of drawing first, we can add audio first and then add visuals. So what you do is essentially you do the same thing, but record audio first.
Let's do that on the second slide, shall we? So I'll add audio first. This is a presentation about the evolution of the medium used to exchange knowledge. So we have 6 seconds, and now we should add, perhaps we can just copy this object here from the first slide. I'll just grab those objects, copy this object, as I want it to be visible on this slide, maybe just somewhere at the very beginning, right? It's here. I'll take the second object as well. I want it to appear like a second later, just here, all right? And what I'll do is I'm going to make them more dynamic by moving them around while we hear this introduction, right? So I'll hit record again, but this time, what Explain Everything is going to do is not going to capture audio because microphone is muted. It's going to capture the movements that I will provide, okay? So those objects will appear on the screen because they are on the recording here. They will appear on the screen. I'll grab them and provide a little movement. Just like that. So now what happens is that first object appeared, I started to move it before second appeared, and then I grabbed second object and move it as well. And you have this nice little animation, very simple, but you can like find your ways in order to make it more complicated, more elaborate, artistically interesting, but that's how you do it. You do it in steps, step by step, at your own pace, just to provide just a polished, nice touch of it.
Right, and I think it's a great moment to kind of mention why it's possible to do that in 2 steps. Because right next to the record button, there's a yellow thing called mix, right? You see that the recording is in the mix mode. Bart mentioned earlier the override mode, which would get rid of your recording completely if you press record in that mode. But in the mix mode, which is the default mode of Explain Everything's recording, you are able to add as many layers of recordings as you want. Because that was one question from Karl Heinz. So what's the main difference between mix and insert record mode? So mix mode is just adding layers of recording, right? If you have microphone on at every, like, for every layer, you'll add layers of audio. So if you add animations, you will add layers of animations. So I think we can present what's going to happen if we add even more objects and even more animations to that in mix mode.
Absolutely. So I'm going to hit mix again, and I will draw another objects, and I'll move it as well. So I'll just add circle, and I'll move it here. So this animation that we provided earlier still plays, but now there's a new element. There's this circle, and there's this movement of the circle. Let's say I'm not happy with this movement of the circle. I can come back again in time to the moment when it appeared, grab it with my fingers when I mix record, and move it somewhere else because it was not visible on the bottom of the screen. So I'll just grab it and move it here. So because I provided new movement, for the circle, now it's changed. I changed the movement of the circle, but other elements are still playing back as they were recorded. So if I'm not happy with movement of this iPad on the right side, I can redo it just like that. So with touch of your fingers, with simple gestures, you're able to orchestrate the activity of those objects on the canvas. It's not only about drawings. You can do the same with documents, with the things that you cut out from those documents. So let's say I'm not happy with this tablet here, and I wish it is a picture of the tablet instead of a drawing. So what I could do is I could actually remove this tablet.
So this is, see, the video track and explain everything consists of clips. As soon as you add something to the canvas, record a movement, or the clip of certain action will appear in the timeline. So the purple one that Bart just removed was a clip of him adding this drawing to the timeline, right? So he just got rid of it by tapping and holding the clip.
Because I want to replace it with this element that we have on a slide that we used before. So, or maybe even this slide. So I want to replace this tablet. I'm sorry, I made a mistake and I put it to the other slide. So one more time. So I want to add this element, this tablet, to this very slide. So I have to choose put on this current slide. Okay, so it's here. I'm going to take it out of the slide as before, remove the slide with the delete button. So I only have tablet. Now, when recording, I can move this tablet here, as I did before with the drawing. So I was not happy with the drawing. I still need to practice my skills. I added existing digital content to replace my drawing of a tablet with a real tablet. So the same thing with paper. I'm not happy with the drawing of the paper. Let's say I want to bring papyrus in. I can delete this. And when I delete this initial appearance of objects on the canvas, the tracks that are related to it will also disappear from the timeline. So since I'm on this very moment when this papyrus should appear, I can add it from, let's say, this slide. So I'll bring just one slide to the canvas in order to cut out, maybe parchment is even better. So I'll take parchment out of this slide, remove the slide completely because I don't need it. I just need this parchment in this small demonstration. And by hitting record, I'll add the movement of the parchment as, yeah, it was going to be similar to the movement of the drawing that we had before. So now it looks like this. So by this, you can easily polish and improve your digital content, animating, orchestrating all of those elements for better effect, for making your content stand out, to be more dynamic, to help in your teaching.
Right, and now, so what's the difference between the other modes? So we mentioned override.
Override.
Override
yes.
Gets rid of everything in front of the playhead. So the red stripe on the timeline is the playhead. So Bart's using his finger to scroll the timeline, right? So the red playhead marks the current time, and if he chooses override,
so let's say from this moment on, because there was a lot of movement after the 3rd second, but I'll choose override. Yeah, please continue.
And then if he presses record now, he'll get notified that it will get rid of everything in front.
That's okay. I'm fine.
So
do we want to remove the audio track as well because we're going to break the?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think
fine.
Well, this is the risky move, right? So override gets rid of everything unless we fiddle with the timeline, but we'll get there.
What? We're overriding now? And that's what we recorded. So let's scroll back to the 3rd second. I pressed overwrite here. Nothing was moved between third and almost fifth second. And then I was whispering to the microphone, what, we're overwriting? So as you see, I just removed the remaining part of this recording. Yes, we can add some movement with the mixed recording. But there is one more mode we should mention about, which is
insert mode, and it's a new addition to Explain Everything. It's currently available only on iOS version of Explain Everything, but it's getting to other platforms as well in the near future. So, yeah, this explanation will be the same for every other platform. So, insert mode, as the name suggests, allows you to insert or just squeeze in additional recording into an existing recording. So what it will do, it will just split the current recording, and now, as long as you record in insert mode, it will add new recording to the existing one, and just well, squeeze it in is maybe not the right expression, but you'll see the effect once parts start recording.
So that's what essentially will happen if we are here in the recording. That's our existing recording, and we'll, by positioning at this point of time, press insert, it will add an additional recording, pushing the existing one to the back, as long as you're going to record in this mode. So I can, by this, add additional introduction at the very beginning of this slide. So I'll go to the very beginning, and yeah, I'm going to provide introduction. So introduction, maybe not white and white. I'll do it black and white, maybe like this. So I added new object, and I'll add narration to it in insert notes. So let's do it. This is an introduction to our slide that it extends the slide by 6 seconds. I muted my microphone, so I did a mistake. This is easy to fix because I can now mix record, right? And add my what I said one more time. This is our introduction to we're showing quite a bit here. I hope this is still like easy to understand. It's basically you have 3 modes. You can mix the recordings, nothing gets lost. You'll just add additional layers. You can insert, pushing away the existing recording. That's on iOS currently, and it's going to be rolled out to the other platforms. And you can overwrite, meaning that when you press record, everything that was after the moment where you started recording will get removed, and you have like a clean slate. You can record again. So with those options, yeah, it is a very powerful tool, I must admit.
Nothing stops you really. There are a couple of quirks in terms of like editing the clips. As you can see, the layers of the recordings. If you have a lot of layers of recordings, because you were recording in the mix mode there, you might run into this very layered structure of the timeline, and you can tap on the clips to switch back and forth between them if you have a lot of them. So if you run into that, just make sure to tap on the clip in order to bring in the clip that you want to edit, for example. So there are some parts like we can.
I believe it's a good time to show you how you can record your lesson as you go in between the slides, right, from slide to slide.
All right.
Because that's a scenario where Explain Everything is used live, in a live setting. There's your class, you have your content on your iPad, as I will prepare mine, and you want to go through the material without thinking about what technology does in the background, right? So I'll bring in the content again. So this evolution of the medium presentation, right? I added that to the first slide. I never wanted that, so I'll do it again. So I'll add it to have a slide division again, choosing separate slides. So I'll end up with 4 slides. And the way to explain everything to record everything as you go is just all you gotta do is press record and go with the slide order. So when I press record now, I'll demonstrate that currently. So now this is a recording on slide number 1. I go to slide number 2. So as you see, recording is still going. I'm recording on slide number 2. Moving forward, now I'm recording on slide number 3. I don't have to do anything more in order to keep explain everything recording as I go through the presentation all the way to the slide number 4. When I stop and you look here, I already have 4 recordings, each recording for the slide that I was speaking about. That's all it takes. Now you can do a simple test. You can try to play it all together. I'm not trying to play it in a full screen mode. The full screen mode can be activated if you press and hold play button, just like that. So I'll play full screen now. And as you see, this is a recording of the slide number 1. And this is a recording of slide number 2. And then the recording of slide number 3. So when I export that, it will be a complete clip showing all of those slides. What happens, Kuba, if one of those slides would not have recording?
There is an option that by default, recording will be added to an empty slide. It's just going to be empty. I think the default is 5 seconds.
Right.
But you can change that in settings, the slide without, like add slides without duration. Did we mention how slide recording works? So that they are like chapters, divisions, that they're containers for recording?
Yes, we did.
Right, okay, yeah, we did. So
I'll just demonstrate this empty slide. So that's empty slide. We're going to export this video to you so you can observe what will happen.
Just make sure that the setting is on, because you could have turned it off.
Sure. But it's going to convert in the cloud, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So when you're converting this video locally, you can set the duration of the recording for the slide without any recording at all. So here, if I would turn this project into video, this slide will stay on the screen for 5 seconds. I can turn it to 10 or 15. That's in the settings. If you convert the video, as I will in the cloud, it will be 5 seconds. So the video should play like this. Slide number 1, slide number 2, 3, then 5 seconds. This empty slide, and then slide number 4. Okay? So I'll do this now. I'll create a video link so you can share this with those that are watching us, if you could.
Yes, sir. Yeah, share the current. Yeah.
So that's recording.
Sorry, because I was reading questions because we've got some already.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Happy to take them.
We'll slowly get into the Q&A part.
So I'll share this to you, Kuba.
You can send it via. Oh, okay. So this works fine.
Okay. Right. So before we go to the Q&A, why don't we show some options and possibilities that you have when recording with Explain Everything. We went through the basics. There's much more to it, and we just want you to realize what you can do with this, with a whiteboard, with the power to record with those modes, in those modes that you mentioned. Yeah. What do we have here on the slide? So
video inside a video. This is something. Well, this is also very unique to Explain Everything.
Yes.
So you are able to add any sorts of media to Explain Everything, even videos. So the way it works, because that's something we need to explain that, because some people reported to us that they expect, as soon as they insert a video to their project, they expect it to be playing without recording it. So we'll just show you how.
Whoa.
Oh yeah.
I'm lost already. Yeah. Let's do that.
You see, this is how this is sort of how it's expected to act. But we'll show you how to how it works and what to do about it. So we're getting close to 1 hour. We'll go longer than 1 hour. So if you gotta go, don't worry. You'll get a video recording of that session, And but if you want to stay with us and explore more, feel free. We'll go longer than planned.
Let's try to explain what happens when you bring video to the canvas, right? I'll find a video clip that we can use. So we need existing video, maybe this one. It's a good illustration, by the way. So this video that I just brought, this is just a 20 seconds clip that illustrates the concept of mind models and you know, Wright brothers, when they wanted to increase the efficiency of existing propeller of their flyer, they thought about using the wing as a model for the propeller, and they just kind of like linked two concepts together. That was animated and explained everything. So I created a short video to explain what was their thinking in terms of using wing to increase the efficiency of the propeller. By the way, we do have this video here that plays, right? I can scroll through the video, simple animation, run in a few seconds and explain everything. But we need, in order to see it on our video, record the process of playing it back. And that's what's getting complicated, right?
Well, that's where people get lost sometimes. Because in order for you to, because you've inserted that video, Bart just inserted the video, yeah, and he wants to export that video because he wants to explain a video. And then you see the inception here.
Yeah, already.
And in order to export a video that includes a video, he needs to record it again. So he needs to record the interaction with the video because it's an object on the canvas, and yeah, explain everything allows you to record interactions with those media files. So we need to record that interaction. So what we're going to do is we're going to press record
here
and just tap play on the video
here.
And now Bart can talk over a video, even pause it, or scrub by using the scrubber, right? Seek the time, scroll back, loop, change the volume of the video, and so on and so forth. So all these interactions are now being recorded, and once Bart presses stops, as he did, now you can see all those interactions in the timeline.
So I started to play back this recording on the second number 3. So let me see this. Okay, so I'll remove this audio track because we're going to provide additional explanation to this. So let's just play back what I did with the recording, with this video on the screen. As you see, it plays back because the timeline shows the playback of this video. Then I paused this, and then I was like seeking position in time here, right? So I was scrubbing through the timeline like this. So I actually captured my way I operated with this video object. So I can, of course, add more manipulations. Like, for example, I want this object to move, right? I want this video. I will relocate this video here, right? And even my movement of the video right now is reflected in the timeline. If I'm not happy with this, oh, this is too dynamic already, I feel seasick, I can remove this movement of my hand. Just like that. Video will still play. But by this, you can go over and over again. Oh, and again, I created false narration. You can go over and over again and create your explanation. So in this video, I'll press record. In this video, this small video illustrates how Wright brothers were linking different concepts going from wing of the plane to the more efficient propeller. And as you see, I recorded my interaction with the video object, and then I annotated on top of this. It is a cool video. This is like an animation on top of animation. You mentioned Inception, right?
So this is and now after you export this via any of the export options, the video and interactions will be included. So that's how you record a video inside a video.
So I'll try to do that. I'll save this video locally this time in order to do something very crazy.
So, and we've got a question regarding that. So do I need to have an existing video file, or could I use a web browser and record a YouTube video? So
very good question.
We're getting there in terms of how you record web browsers, because this is something that also needs a little bit more explanation.
So maybe just let's cancel that and jump right into it. I'll create a new project now and illustrate how you can go about manipulating video web browsers. So let's choose a different background. This one.
Oh, this is an interesting question.
Yeah. So we just want to answer as many as we can. So
let's go with the browser now, right? So Explain Everything allows you to insert a live browser into your project. This is mainly designed to be used in a live presentation setting, and we'll answer why. Because the way Explain Everything captures web browser is just it records, or like let's put it this way: it records screenshots of your interactions in the browser, right? And it cannot exceed certain amount of screenshots per second, and record them as you would record a screen with like iOS screen recording option. So this makes it so that when you record a web browser, it will look a little bit choppy. So because it's not like 30 frames per second recording, it's like, I think you can set it in settings too. But essentially, each time while you're recording, the icon that Bart just annotated on will blink, and that means that a screenshot is captured of
screenshots of the contents of the browser.
Yes, exactly. And then so that makes it impossible to record videos from YouTube, for example, from the web browser.
Well, the result will be, it's not something you want. It's better to bring the video to the canvas, onto the canvas, and record the way we demonstrated before. So this is more for interaction with the content in the browser. So I can hit record and say, okay, let's see what's happening on the blog of Explain Everything. It's on the bottom of the website. I'll just mark it here for you. Here's the blog, right? And I'll open the blog now to see the stories that Explain Everything is sharing currently. Oh, there's a webinar recorded on presenting with Explain Everything, and yeah, interesting articles as well. So when you stop recording and you scroll back, what I did within the browser is captured, and the frame rate will be lower than what you saw live. Let me just play it back. But still, you can easily tell what is being displayed in the browser.
Right. And to make sure that your current view is recorded, use the snapshot button by tapping it in the top right-hand corner. And it's only on iOS. I don't think it's on Google version of Explain Everything. So
you can kind of force creation of the frames that you need in your video.
Right. So there are a couple of other questions regarding the video recording, and so let's just go through it to it.
Absolutely.
So yeah, okay. So I guess we can just jump right into the question and answer. There was one more scenario that we wanted to go through, but if you want to answer those questions, I think it's best to just start now. So the first question from Janine is, I've been using recording videos for some time now, but I usually save them to the device and then upload to YouTube. How do you go directly to YouTube? So some people have been using Explain Everything to record YouTube videos.
Right.
So I think we need a preface to that, because we didn't really talk about setting up your recording like preset. Because that's also possible and Explain Everything. So if you want to create a YouTube video, what you do is you set your project to be 16:9, so that they will not look square. Like your iPad screen or your Android device screen usually is like 4:3, but there are some differences. iPad screens are 4:3, right? So as you start your project, it's best to, and you're planning to record a YouTube video, it's best to tap on the name of the project.
Just
and
here?
Then tap frame options right here.
It's here. So I'll put it here aside so you see. I'll just document what Kuba is mentioning about. So that's frame options for you. I'll just bring it to the canvas now. Yeah, please go ahead.
And then change the frame aspect ratio to 16:9 because that's the full HD 4K format. So we are doing that because we want to have a wide screen video. So by changing the aspect ratio to 16:9, can we do that?
Yeah. Yep.
You'll see a red frame that will appear on your
I turned it off.
Okay.
I'll just bring the default.
So by default, this red frame will appear.
So this will be.
I think it's in editing.
I guess so. Yeah, it's here. Okay.
So this fancy card. So you see the red frame.
Mm-hmm.
So the content inside the red frame will be is a guide for you to follow, because this content will be exported in the video, right? When you want to export it to YouTube. But and that's the first setting you wanna set. The other setting is the exported video setting. So sorry.
Yep.
We want to go to settings.
Then, yeah, I'll document it quite as fast as I can. Yeah,
let's
go ahead. Settings.
And then we had to record tab. Sorry, export tab.
Export tab.
Yeah.
Yep.
And here you see the export video settings. So now from this first option, we want to select 1920 by 1080 because that's the full HD video resolution. And this is going to look best on YouTube, right? And we want to set the quality to high, probably, if you want to go with that resolution.
Okay.
So, and these export settings are settings just for locally exported videos. So those videos that are exported to your device. So the question was, how do I export it immediately to YouTube? So that's possible if you connect your YouTube account to Explain Everything. So you can integrate that. So you do that by, well, we can just include that immediately, right? So I think it's not here, but well, can we close that? Okay,
yeah,
so
when you export the video, the YouTube option will appear, and
yes.
there you can.
So if you go export,
yeah,
and then select video, and then because you don't have the YouTube app, so you need a YouTube app in order to send it directly to YouTube. Then it will, you'll select YouTube, and it will render video on your device through Explain Everything, and then send it immediately to YouTube. That's the easiest way to shorten the path between Explain Everything and YouTube.
So these are 3 tips from Kuba. Set frame options, so they're 16:9. Set resolution high and get quality. Just use best setting here, and then use YouTube app when you export locally as a video here.
Right, and we got another question, somewhat around that, because it also includes the settings that we mentioned here. So from Michelle, question about the stored video format. I want to put my Explain Everything videos into Edpuzzle. Can I? Yes. So there are people who do that, but this will require you to export locally, right? So the way you just export the video that you saved on your device to Edpuzzle, and then add and then add questions, right, and the chapters in Edpuzzle. That's how people do that. You just follow these settings for the highest quality video, and then export it to Edpuzzle. I think we can mention one more thing, because not many people know that you don't have to export your video locally in order to get a file. So you are able to download video files from our cloud.
Absolutely.
So once, like Bart just did before, and the links that I've posted in the chat, so you can see the download button right there.
So what we're looking at is a video that we created before when demonstrating this scenario, right? This video now plays actually from the cloud. This is the first animation that we showed you how to do, right? The annotations and explain everything icon. So I can play it back in the cloud, but also I can use this button here, download, in order to get MP4 file. So on my iPad, it will just look like this, but on your computer, you're able to download that file. So in order to expedite rendering to the movie, in order to get a file, just export it using web video link here on the top right corner, and then once compression is finished, download it with this button.
Right, and I think the explain drive compression and conversion to video works really, really great for longer recordings, because that if you want to wait for rendering on your device, that's also fine. But this will get it done really, really fast.
It depends what kind of content you use. That's quite important. So if you have like a 1 hour long lecture where you use extensively videos, this could render on your device like 2 or 3 hours even. It will render quite fast in the cloud, many times faster than on the device. But if your content is simple, this is just like doodling that I was showing before, it might be okay to render it on the device. It's your call.
And we're in a great spot. Those questions aligned perfectly. So the next question is, does the presentation get saved to your servers when you create the link? So yes. And then, so let's go through that, right? Because
let us show you.
Yeah. So this gets really advanced, but you'll see the effect because it's really awesome. So
this is something you can actually put to very good use when you're teaching the same content year after year, and you want to repurpose and just the content that you have and create a new video link for, let's say, new semester. So why don't we use the video that we have from this first demonstration? So I have it on my drive. So
as you saw, Bart just went.
So sorry for being so fast.
Okay.
So that's the main screen of Explain Everything. I go to the library here, and in the library, I go to the My Drive, and within My Drive, there are many things, but among those things, I have this recording number 1 that we created on the at the very beginning of our webinar. So when I tap the recording 1, it's actually something that we sent over to cloud to generate web video link that you see below. But actually what happened is that your project sits in the cloud, and out of that project, web video was created. So in this scenario, you can access this cloud project, repurpose the contents of that project, and create new web video links. So on this list, there'll be another one. Why don't we show that? Huh?
Sure.
So I'll hit edit here. So instead of opening locally the project that was stored in the internal memory of this device, I just connected to the cloud project. So some assets might load, like you see now, it's an asset loading. Okay, but this is my presentation that I did, and maybe this time, yeah, we did something that will show that it's a different new version of the presentation. So I'll do at the very beginning of the slide, I'll create just marker that is version number 2. Okay, even with the, okay, that's good. I can move it around that. Yeah, that's version number 2. Nothing more I want to change here. So that's how it plays. Fantastic. I just have a new version of my presentation. That's a version number 2. So I will create web video link again. I'll share it with you so you can post it on the chat if you like.
Right, and now as you see, the uploading didn't happen because it was already in the cloud. So Bart's presentation file was in the cloud already, and he just needed to tap once after editing it, and now his project. This is like he changed the original project, but he created a new video from it. So
yeah, let us show that. So that was recording number 1, right? So now I have 2 web video links. The original one on the bottom and the new one with version 2. You can tell this here, that is a version 2 above it. It's the same length, but I just have a new version of something that originated as a project that sits in the cloud, and I can continue redoing it, polishing it, and creating new video links to it that I can share with others. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. So this is great. Okay, let's go. We need to fast forward through that, but we're gonna ramp up the pace a little bit. So is there an easy way to add closed captions to PowerPoint slides in Explain Everything? I mean, yes, you can do that just by adding text boxes to recording at a certain time, right?
So we can demonstrate it, because actually, if you look at our help center, there are a lot of videos that have subtitles and captions recorded that way. So recording, let's see the article on recording, edit recordings. This is a quite interesting topic, huh? So when I play back this video, this is a video that illustrates multiple things in the recording, but you see captions underneath this video that displays. Everything here was created and Explain Everything to explain everything. That sounds cyclical, but you see those captions? I'll show you how you can do them in just a few taps. So let's say we do have this video again. So we do have some dynamic content, right? And yeah, I just recorded 4 seconds. And I want to have underneath this, or even above this, this is an illustration of how the concepts okay, so I created now sentence as a text object above this video, and I wanted to sit here for, let's say, 1 second. Okay, so I recorded with mixed recording 1 second, and now I can change. Oh, sorry, I pressed the recording again, so I'll play it back. So the timing is right. This is an illustration of how the concepts. I am in a second, so I can change this. Can get transferred. Okay, and that's a change that I applied to this text object. And by this, you can have subtitles to the videos. If you continue to change this, this object throughout the time. So what actually happens is that Explain Everything captures the changes in the text object. So if you provide multiple changes in the different moments of time, you'll see yeah, subtitled video.
Right. So Tiffany said that sorry because she wasn't specific enough, but she wanted to know if how to do this when you have a PowerPoint presentation and different subtitles are needed for each slide. So I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure what the effect would be. You mean like on the slide, or using the same like slide and with different text, or I don't really know what you're trying to go for.
So let's say that's a static content. These are our slides, yeah, and let's say if you do the narration on those slides, you can add subtitles above this as a text object that I just presented. So that could be a way to, have captions on top of the PowerPoint. That's one of the ways you can do it.
So because I think because we didn't mention really the same PowerPoint though. Oh, so you mean like having the different versions of same, like different text on the. So you want to have a template with different captions or different subtitles, right? Is that what you're trying to go for? So like if we had
with different captions. Interesting. There are many ways you can do it actually.
So one PowerPoint, different slide with different text on each slide at the bottom.
Just remember that with explain everything, we can capture any modification. So if you want to provide text objects underneath the slides, you can annotate those underneath like this and change them over time to receive the results that you like. It's super easy to do it that way.
Well, the way it works is like just you just add a text. I think that's what we're trying to go for, right? You just add the text object here with the text tool. You just have it here, and then if you want to do the same thing on a different slide, you just go to a different slide, and we'll zoom out here, and then just add it with the text tool the same way.
I can copy it from this slide, so it's
while recording as well. Yes, you can do that while recording.
Absolutely, absolutely. So now I'm just adding them without this dimension of time, but you can add them at a certain point of time to create this caption effect that I presented. Yeah.
Okay. So we went through the web browser question before. Can I insert a video that is made on top of a PowerPoint and remove the original person's ADI out audio, I think? Or was it? And so I can put my own voice on top. So, yes.
Okay, so there would be a PowerPoint slide underneath, the video on top of that. The video would be muted, right?
Yes, yeah, I think that's
and
you
record your own audio track. Yeah, absolutely. So on top of this file, I can add video, as I did before. I can record this video playing, but with audio turned off. This is the setting that you need to use. So decrease the volume of the video so you cannot hear this in the recording. And now, once you do that, well, we have the setup. We have this slide, we have the video plays. Now all you need to do is to unmute yourself and provide instructions to the video that plays on top of the slide. And that's the result. As you see, you can demonstrate it in seconds, and it's a question of how you want to organize the content for nice results. And it's up to your imagination how to do this with Explain Everything.
All right. So the other question is very specific. What is the storage limit in your server? So it's by default, it's it depends on the plan, of course, but for individuals, it's 10 gigabytes per person. For EDU, it depends on your on amount of seats. I mean, the educational plan. It depends on the amount of seats you want to go for, because it's a pooled data. So, well, pooled data is what's it called? Pooled storage. Sorry, it's pooled storage. So you have X amount of gigabytes for your whole organization, depending on the amount of seats for your organization. So 10 gigabytes is default for individuals. For EDU is 500 megabytes, but it's way cheaper than individuals. So I'm going to link to our current plans for you, so you can see that in the chat. For all other people who will watch this on YouTube or as a recording, we'll include that in the description.
Fantastic. There was a question about how to change the background of the slide, so why don't we show this real quick? If you open the slide sorter here, you can press edit and select the slides where you want to change the background. That means you're going to change the background for the single slide. That is slide number 2 in this example. And by tapping, again, I'll show you which icon to tap here. There's an icon that allows you to change the background. And I'll change it to green. Why not? I'll press Done on top right corner. And now the slide has a green background. If you want to change background for all of the slides, just don't select any of those with this edit option here. Just change the background. And I'll change it to yellow. And as you see, all slides will turn yellow in this example.
Right. Yeah, so Carl Heinz has another question. Is it or hi Carl, is the most devoted participant of our webinars. Thank you for all your questions, Carl. Is it or will it be possible to move objects in the timeline? So yes, sooner or later it will be possible. It's not possible right now, but so what Carl is asking is that when you record, when you create a recording and explain everything, you saw those clips in the timeline, in the video track, right? Or in the other track. So he's asking if it's going to be possible to move them inside the timeline. So it's not possible to move them now, but we're trying to figure out how to make that work. And it's definitely doable. It's on our wish list, and then we'll see when, but it's not on our immediate roadmap, but we'll get there eventually.
So there is a way already where it somehow works if you want to put to the timeline audio file. Let's say you want to start with narration that you have in MP3, let's say. You bring this file to the canvas and you can move it to the timeline and readjust that. So we're going to soon be there and allow movement of those tracks, but we cannot provide you with a specific date when it's going to be shipped. We're heading toward that direction.
So Michelle, yes, exactly. That's how it works. So Michelle asked, I wanted to use somebody else's video recording of a PowerPoint project, but I want to eliminate his voice and record the narration over it in my voice. So that's how you go.
Yes.
You insert a video, you turn the volume down, press record, and then just talk over the video that's playing without the audio.
And it's actually, I hope after this webinar you'll be able to tell the difference between this and video editing softwares. Oftentimes, we even skip the idea of using video editing software as we can use our whiteboard with those options in order to have the result that we want faster. So in this scenario, this is a very good illustration of what you can do with the whiteboard with such a recording functionality that we have here.
Right, but Michelle, so what I would do actually, instead of inserting a video, because that's a huge video file with audio and so on and so forth. So what I would do instead, I would, unless, well, depending on the PowerPoint video, if it's just a slide, then just take a screenshot at the point of the video, and then insert them as static images to your Explain Everything presentation, and then record over it, so you don't have to think about the flow of the video that you've inserted. I think it's much simpler to just insert static content if you don't have to use a video, right? Because this will make it a little bit harder, because you will have to think about the timing, right? When the slide in the video that you've inserted jumps to another one, you are able to control that, but it's much easier if you just take a screenshot of that slide and insert it to Explain Everything project. All right.
Okay, there's one thing.
Oh yes, you could write on the video. Yeah.
Absolutely, yes, that's what it is for. There's one more scenario that we wanted to present you at the very end of this webinar, because it's cool. It's a bit crazy. The example that we choose, right? We chose. So
since you stayed that long, by the way, sorry for making this so long, but because we had so much people sign up for this webinar, went way beyond our expectations. So thank you for coming and thank you for staying with us. We're going to show you this really crazy example of
just to close with this one.
Yeah, just to close the session with it. What's possible with Explain Everything and recording and collaboration. So
yes, and this is intended to increase engagement of your student, because recording is great if you do it alone, but there are sometimes situations when you want to do something together. And this is a scenario that you see here on the bottom, collaborative recording. So what we want to do is we want to provide you with an opportunity to animate some objects together with us. I'm here on this cloud project. This is a project that runs on our servers. And as you see, Kuba just joined to me. You can tell this in the top right in the here, explain everything that's muted participant of the collaboration. So we invite those that want to have fun with us doing a crash derby in a collaborative way to smash those cars and create a small animation together to join this collaboration. All you need to do is to use join on your tablet and use this code that you see here, or if you want to use your browser, go to this address here to connect. And we're waiting for you on slide number 1. Well, sorry, slide number 9. And yes, and I'll prepare cars in the meantime.
I can share the code with me, please. Just send it via AirDrop.
Sure, no problem.
To the, or yes, Slack. Oh, it doesn't appear.
We can open the new session, no problem, because we did quite a bit on this one already. So I'll just create a new. And it's a good illustration how you can get it started. So you can press invite. So you can press invite. I'll create a new slide. This is a good illustration. And by pressing invite, you're actually immediately starting a new project, and you can allow others to enter. So I'll ask Kuba to join. I'll share this code with you through our communicator here. And I'll prepare content for you to join, so it's ready when you join, okay?
So now you can just click on this link. If you are on the mobile device and you have explained everything, and it will open up automatically. If you are on the desktop computer, you will join to the collaboration from a web browser. So you can just click on the link that I posted in the chat. So to join us and to have a crash derby with us.
So Kuba, could you join as well?
Yeah. Oh, right.
So that's a new project we created. So I guess the background should be red, right? Or close to it. Okay. So we have 2 participants so far. I'll prepare my cars so we can do the crash derby. Okay. So as you see in this collaborative mode, while you're connecting, I can grab red car with my finger. Now, Kuba controls the white car. Yeah. Maybe I can turn off scaling so those objects would not scale when we move this. So in lock in inspector, you have those options. I'll lock scale on this slide. So now you ended up with a bigger car. Fantastic. Oh, thank you. So there's 3 of us moving those cars around, and I'll unmute and we'll try to do a small animation. So what we'll do, we'll move around those cars, and at one point in time, they will crash, and we will add animation of the crash later. So shall we? Are we ready?
Sure.
I'll press record, and this is a crash derby. Oh my God, what I'm doing here. And these cars are going around and they crash, yes. And it was 7th second where they crashed. So I'll move the timeline to the moment where they crashed here, okay? And maybe let's try to disconnect the objects that they are composed with. So I'll just do this, and white car also, I'll do this. So we can move separately those elements of the cars. And when I hit record, let's just move away those colors that they have, okay? So I'll also do the same with the red car. So you'll see the nation of explain everything. That is sometimes tricky when you try to control the experience, but that's okay. We can mess around with this content. So you're ready. I'm going to record and we animate the control, the color of those cars coming off after the crash. So 3, 2, 1, go. Boom.
Whoa, someone took mine.
That's okay. So now I'm going to play back the result. So we see those cars coming around. Yeah, they are moved by 3 different participants and they crash. And now we see them falling apart. I guess we should add animation of the smoke, right? So that was the 7th second. I'll hit the record and I'll add some smoke. You can draw with me. Just choose a color, take a draw tool, choose the size of the pen, and get ready to record together. So 3, 2, 1, and record. And there was a crash. Oh, a lot of smoke, as you would expect. And now, after this crash, we will record audio. So I'll press record again, and I'll comment what happened. So I'll press record. Cars going around. This is crazy. I cannot watch this. What's happening on the screen? And they crash. Oh no, the color come off. We're sometimes crazy, sorry for that, but we wanted to demonstrate what you can do collaboratively and what you can allow your students to do to express themselves visually using a whiteboard, such as Explain Everything.
Yeah. Well, since we went full crazy, then we should end the session probably.
Definitely, that's the right moment. That's the last moment we can.
So thank you for joining the collaboration and doing this fantastic, beautiful animation with us. So thank you for joining the session.
We really appreciate your questions. That was great.
Yeah, great questions. If you have any comments for this webinar, just let us know at connect@explaineverything.com. And if you need help, just send us a note to support@explaineverything.com, where we'll be able to help you with any problems that you might have. And we invite you to the next webinar, which is next week, about screencasting and assessment and feedback. So where we go through the scenarios where we'll invite you to create content within Explain Everything that's interactive and allows for visual feedback and how it can engage your students and how you can use Explain Everything, how they can use Explain Everything in order to create something really cool and how they can document their learning. So thank you very much for joining.
Thanks for your question. It was great to engage with you, and we hope to do more of those collaborative sessions, as we love Explain Everything with Explain Everything. So thank you, and hope to see you soon again in the future.
Thank you very much, and see you. You'll get a recording of this webinar too.
Really. Absolutely. So, yeah.
Thank you very much, and see you.